my name is Nadja, and I'm a statistician. I would like to start by gathering some data from you, and I want to ask you, who believes in destiny? If you believe in destiny, can you raise your hand? I see some people over there, a bit of an unbalanced distribution. And yeah, I agree with some of you, or most of you. As a statistician, I'm quite a rational person, and I don't really believe in stuff like God or destiny, but for once in my life these beliefs were challenged, because once in my life a miracle happened to me. And today I want to tell you the story of this miracle. It happened around 5 years ago when I was traveling through Australia. I was staying in a hostel in a small town called Kununurra. And with the other backpackers staying in this hostel, we loved to party as much as we could. But one day I ran out of money, so I had to get a job. And luckily some of the backpackers were working at this pumpkin farm, so they offered to take me with them. And we enjoyed one final fun weekend where we went to a rave in the desert, and after that weekend I was ready to pick some pumpkins. But my body was not quite ready. So you have to imagine, I had to pick pumpkins like this all day in the field at 40 degrees with the sun shining on me. And after a full day of that, my legs were completely finished. The guys from the hostel told me, "You just saw, you need to rest a bit." So I went to my little bunk bed to rest. 3 days later, I had still barely left my bed. And I was almost too weak to walk. So I decided to go to the hospital. And when I arrived at the hospital, I was there talking to this lady at the counter. She asked me all kinds of questions to assess how I was doing. And I still remember at some point she asked me, "When's the last time that you peed?" And while she was asking me that, I realized, shit, I don't think I've peed since I left the farm. When I told her this, it was like a switch was changed. I was immediately rushed into the next room and connected to all kinds of life-saving machines, because apparently when you don't pee for 3 days, that means that your kidneys have failed. But remember, I was in the middle of nowhere, and they didn't really have the kinds of machines and experts there that need to save me. So they had to fly me to the next biggest city, and within a few hours, I arrived in Perth. And when I arrived there, again, they asked me all kinds of questions, and that actually led to quite a few awkward conversations. For example, when I was talking to this nurse about my alcohol consumption, it went something like this. She asked, "So how much do you usually drink?" Like a bottle of wine? A bottle of wine in a month? No, a bottle of wine in a day. So if you find this a little concerning, I can reassure you why that might have been a little bit more than the average backpacker. It was probably still within one standard deviation. So not completely unusual. But back to the hospital. I was lying alone in my hospital bed, and I was very scared. So of course, as a statistician, I looked up some statistics. And the statistics that I found, they were not really in my favor. According to some studies, up to 90% of the people who were in an ICU with kidney failure did not make it. So when I found out about this, I tried to come to terms with the fact that this might be it for me. And that forced me to take a really honest look at my life so far. And while many people in these kind of situations say things like, "Oh, I wish I hadn't worked so much, really should have enjoyed life more," I remember for me it was kind of the opposite. I was thinking, I really wish I hadn't partied so much. I should have tried to use my brain more and do something meaningful. And while it seemed like my body was dying, something inside of me became alive again, something that I hadn't felt in a really long time. But there was not much I could do in this moment, right? So even though I didn't believe in God, I started praying. And I said, "Please let me survive. If you let me survive, I promise I will try to use my brain and give back to the world." A few days later, I started getting better. I was released from the hospital and I even started to pee again. I had never been that excited about having to pee in my entire life. And I was also able to get some compensation money from the farm. I kept remembering the promise that I made to God, or maybe even also more to myself, which is the reason why I decided to use the money to come to the beautiful city of Amsterdam and become a researcher. Now I'm in the third year of my PhD in statistics, and I study causality. While I was learning about causality, I actually found out that there's quite a simple explanation for why I was able to defy all odds. And the explanation is that my cause for developing kidney failure was quite different from the cause of the people that were included in the study. So, good news, I started using my brain, at least I hope my supervisor would agree. Bad news, I still don't really feel like I'm giving back anything to the world, but maybe in order for that to change, another miracle needs to happen.